Well, speaking after a conference with 40 countries on opposing whatever initiative Trump might be cooking, Palestinian Foreign Minister Ran Bar-Yoshafat accused the United States of waging an open war against the Palestinian people.
The current American administration have waged an open war against the Palestinian people. We did not look for any confrontation. We had an open, frank dialogue, discussion, which really will help, of course, to try to find the right path to reconvene the peace process and also to maintain the two-state solution.
Well, let's bring some debate and analysis on that. Here in the studio, we have attorney Ran Bar-Yoshafat, who is an attorney and expert in international law. Thank you for joining us. But first, let's go to Dimitri Diliani. He's a member of the Fatah Revolutionary Council. That's the ruling Palestinian party. Dimitri, open war on the Palestinians? Exaggerating somewhat, is Mr. Maliki not?
I think there's an exaggeration there. There's not an open war. What's there is more pressure upon our people, especially financially, along with the incapability to produce anything on the political side. That makes our suffering more and our occupation harder.
But, of course, President Trump gave that speech earlier with Prime Minister Netanyahu in which he said that actually he favored a two-state solution. It would seem this is a perfect opportunity for the Palestinians to extend that olive branch that he's, to grab onto that olive branch that he's extending, no matter how small.
There is no olive branch in there. We want the two-state solution. We are the only party that recognize the other state, and the other state is not recognizing us. We are the people under occupation, and there is no olive branch to be extended. If an olive branch to be extended, let's see withdrawal from the land that was occupied in 1967. Then that's a real olive branch. I think for two media-hungry and manipulators like Trump and Netanyahu meeting, it's more of a circus than it is something to be taken seriously. Because
well, let's bring Ran into the conversation here. We have Dimitri saying this is more of a circus, and I have to say, watching Trump say supports a two-state solution and then backtracking and saying that a one-state solution might be good enough for him, it really seems Trump doesn't know what he thinks, does he?
I disagree. Actually, I think Trump is being very coherent. He's actually said the same thing since the beginning. He said, we're not going to interfere in other countries. We're going to let the sides decide for themselves. Except
this isn't a domestic issue within Israel. It has the nature of an international conflict, is it not?
Trump actually gave, I think, a very powerful speech in the United Nations where he addressed that issue. And he said there are two types of approaches. One is a global approach that you have to interfere in everything. And the other is we believe in patriotism, and we think that countries should solve their things with themselves. Saying that, the comment about this is an open war, if it was an open war, America against the Arabs of Gaza and Judea and Samaria, the war would take less than 60 seconds, which is obviously it's not an open war. That's a great exaggeration. The truth of the matter is that I disagree with this two-state solution because I don't think that there's a partner on the other side. I don't think they want a state. They just want the annihilation of Israel. If they would have wanted a state, if it was a matter of territory, we could have solved it years ago.
Well, you say there isn't a partner on the other side. We do have possible one on the line. Dimitri, what do you make to that claim that the Palestinian side is not interested in genuine peace alongside the state of Israel and is in fact interested in destroying it altogether?
Of course, this is nonsense. We are the people in the headlock. How could it be that we don't want the peace? We are the people living under occupation. How could it be that we don't want peace? We are the people...
You say you want peace, but whether that peace is with Israel or instead of Israel is the point that isn't clear here, Dimitri.
Look, the peace that we seek is peace based on justice, on the basis of the negotiations when it first launched, to end up with two-state solution along the 1967 border and a just solution for the refugees. Now, on these bases, we started. Until today, you haven't heard from any executive leader on the executive branch or political branch saying something different. On the other side, you have people like Bennett, the minister, I don't know how he got to be a minister anyway, in Israel, saying that he will do anything it takes to stop the two-state solution.
Well, let's pause that thought right now, Dimitri, because, Ran, you're saying there's no partner here. We have someone on the phone, the Palestinian ruling party, who says he's in favor of a two-state solution in which there would be two states, Israel and Palestine.
Wonderful. So I'm in favor of a two-state solution. One is Greater Israel and one is the eastern side of Jordan. When he's saying he wants a Judenrein, a Jewish free state in Judea and Samaria, and then he wants all of the Arabs who are quote-unquote refugees, yeah, we all know that UNRWA is one big scam, they want them to be in Tel Aviv. He's talking about the one state that has no Jewish characteristics. I would even argue that Dimitri probably does not see Jews as a nation, but
presumably
as a
then when Donald Trump comes along and says two states, one state, I don't care, that should concern you, because it would be a state together with the Palestinians.
I'm not concerned at all. First of all, I don't consider the Arabs in Judea and Samaria as Palestinians. I think that they're Arabs.
Well, they consider themselves to be Palestinians. I don't think it's for you to decide what to label them.
They're allowed to, but I don't have to agree on their... I would argue they're fake people, never a state called Palestine, and so on and so forth. Point is, I don't mind implementing the Israeli law.
Call them a fake people. It's rather rich to turn around and say there's no partner on the other side. Come on.
They say that they're under occupation. There was never a state called Palestine, so I will definitely say it's a fake people. I'm a historian. I'm sorry, I cannot take fake facts, and there was never...
What is a fake people? Because that's a remark that's not only going to be extremely offensive towards them, but it's difficult to see how peace can be achieved if you don't recognize that the others exist. I mean, they're there. Dimitri, you're still on the phone. You exist.
I didn't say they're not humans. I didn't say they don't exist. I say they don't have a nationality, concept of nationality. And I'm not interested in peace. I'm interested in the prosperity of Israel, and I want to implement the Israeli law over Judea and Samaria, and I want to erase this fake dream of a Palestinian state as if it existed. When I hear Dimitri, he's coming from the party that murdered the biggest amount of Jews, and they take pride of it, and he's saying that he's under occupation. There was never a state called Palestine, and we need to erase this lie from history.
Dimitri, your response, please, before we wrap up.
Yeah, no, hold on. You have your guest defining who we are, talking about how we think and what we believe, and at the end of it, he said he doesn't want peace. I don't know if such a person exists. There is no point to argue, because he proved that there is nobody on the other side to talk to. He just proved it himself. I don't tell you who you are. I don't say that you don't belong here. I don't say anything. I'm talking now politics. Two states, we recognize the state of Israel. If you're serious, you recognize the state of Palestine. Otherwise, don't tell me or others what I think and what I believe in, my identity. This is so insulting and dehumanizing, to the point that your soldiers act and abuse and shoot and kill people on the street in cold blood because people like your guests feed them. They dehumanize us. They don't look at us as human beings with equal rights. But I want to tell you something, that we are here. We're not going anywhere. Jerusalem has seen 42 occupiers, none of them.
Dimitri, on that note, I think both you and Ran can probably agree on not going anywhere, and whatever happens, both sides are going to have to find some way to live together. As President Trump says, he doesn't really care which way it is, as long as the two sides agree. Dimitri Diliani and Ran Bar-Yoshafat